Today we'll uncover how this ancient wisdom shapes modern attraction, and why women are often intensely drawn to men who embody stoic calmness. This isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding how your energy, your discipline, and your presence communicate more than your words ever could. We'll break down 7 to 10 powerful Stoic lessons from Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus that reveal what female attraction really responds to and how you can cultivate it. By the end of this video, you'll see that attraction isn't about chasing women. It's about mastering yourself. And when you do that, she notices. Self-control is magnetic. Voiceover. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." The Stoics believed that self-control is the highest form of strength, and in the world of attraction, it's the rarest form of confidence. When a man is centered, when he doesn't get swayed by emotions, gossip, or the need for validation by people feel. Women especially notice when a man is unshaken by external drama, because emotional self-control signals maturity. It signals that your happiness doesn't depend on her approval, and paradoxically, that's what makes you deeply attractive. Practical application. Start observing your reactions. When someone tests you, criticizes you, or flirts with you, don't react immediately. Pause. Breathe. Respond with calm awareness. The goal isn't to suppress emotion, it's to master it. That's the Stoic way. And it's magnetic. In a world where emotional impulsiveness is common, where people react to every slight, every opinion, and every discomfort, the person who remains calm under pressure becomes extraordinary. Self-control is not just a moral virtue, it is a form of power. And like all forms of power, it naturally commands attention. The Stoic foundation of self-control. Stoics place self-mastery at the center of their philosophy. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome and one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." For the Stoics, power did not lie in conquering lands or commanding armies. True power was the ability to govern oneself, to control one's impulses, emotions, and reactions no matter the circumstances. Epictetus, born a slave and later one of Stoicism's greatest teachers, put it even more simply, no man is free who is not master of himself. The Stoics understood that most suffering comes not from external events, but from our uncontrolled reactions to them. Therefore, self-control wasn't just discipline, it was freedom. Freedom from anger, from anxiety, from the chaos of the world. The modern power of composure in our time, self-control is more valuable than ever. We live in a world that constantly tempts us to overreact. Through news, social media, and endless distractions, every headline is designed to provoke emotion. Every platform rewards outrage over reflection. And yet, amid all this noise, the person who remains calm stands out like a lighthouse in a storm. People trust calm individuals. They feel safer around them, because calmness communicates one simple truth. I am in control of myself. I am not easily shaken. This is why self-control is magnetic, not because it dominates others, but because it demonstrates inner order. When you have control over yourself, you radiate stability, and stability in an unstable world draws people naturally. The psychology behind self-control. Modern psychology supports what the Stoics knew centuries ago. Studies on emotional intelligence show that people who can regulate their emotions, instead of being ruled by them, perform better in leadership, relationships, and personal growth. Self-control is associated with lower stress levels, better decision-making, higher resilience in adversity, greater long-term satisfaction. This is because discipline allows you to respond with reason, not just emotion. When you act out of impulse, you give your power away to the moment. But when you act out of calm awareness, you take your power back. The Stoic ideal. The inner fortress. Seneca once compared the wise man to a fortress, strong, stable, and unshaken by the storms of fortune. That image perfectly captures the Stoic vision of self-control. Imagine your mind as a fortress. The outer world, insults, setbacks, praise, and criticism constantly tries to invade. But you control the gates. You decide what enters and what stays out. That's what Marcus Aurelius meant when he wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." You cannot stop the world from challenging you, but you can control your inner response, and that control is what makes you resilient and quietly powerful. Emotional mastery versus suppression. It's important to understand that Stoic self-control is not emotional suppression. The Stoics never taught people to bury or ignore their emotions. They taught awareness and the ability to see your emotions clearly without being controlled by them. Epictetus advised his students to examine their first impulses. When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger. In other words, before reacting, step back, observe the emotion. Ask, why am I feeling this? Is this worth my peace? What response aligns with my values? That small pause, the space between feeling and reacting, is where wisdom lives. Historical example, Marcus Aurelius, under pressure. Consider Marcus Aurelius himself. As emperor, he faced endless wars, plagues, betrayals, and political turmoil. Yet his private writings reveal a man who refused to lose composure. He reminded himself daily, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. This perspective allowed him to rule with dignity and fairness, even when surrounded by chaos. He could not control the empire's storms, but he could control the calmness of his own mind. That is Stoic, self-control in its purest form, strength through serenity. The everyday practice of self-control is not built overnight. It's a practice, a daily discipline of small choices that accumulate into mastery. Here are ways to cultivate it. Pause before you react. When something provokes you, count to 3. Take a breath before you speak or act. That pause separates impulsiveness from intention. Control the controllables. Focus only on what you can influence, your effort, your mindset, your habits. Let go of what lies beyond your reach. Maintain internal order. Keep your space clean, your routine structured, and your thoughts disciplined. External order reinforces internal calm. Journal daily, like Marcus Aurelius. Write about your challenges and emotional responses. Self-awareness is the foundation of self-control. Accept imperfection, you will lose control sometimes. The goal is not perfection but progress. Learn, adjust, and keep moving forward. The spiritual dimension of self-control. The Stoics saw self-control as not merely practical, but sacred. It was a way to align oneself with nature, the rational order of the universe. To control yourself was to live in harmony with reason and virtue. It was a form of wisdom, a recognition that you are part of something greater than your emotions or impulses. In this sense, every act of self-control is a form of prayer, a statement of trust that your peace is not dependent on external chaos, but on your inner alignment with truth. Why self-control draws respect. When people see someone who doesn't lose composure in anger, fear, or temptation, they see someone who possesses something rare, discipline. That kind of discipline inspires trust. It communicates reliability, focus, and integrity. It's why the Stoics believed that virtue itself was beautiful, not because it sought admiration, but because it naturally commanded it. When you can stay composed while others panic, patient while others rush, and calm while others complain, you become a living example of balance. And balance in any environment draws admiration and influence. The ultimate lesson: strength through stillness. Self-control is not weakness. It is the quiet strength of a person who refuses to be ruled by the world. It is the calm in the storm, the steady flame that doesn't flicker when the winds rise. Marcus Aurelius lived by this truth. Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands unmoved, and the raging of the sea still falls around it. When you cultivate that kind of inner stillness, you stop being reactive. You become responsive. You stop being a slave to emotion. You become its master. And in that mastery, you find not just peace but power, because in the end, self-control is magnetic, not because it forces others to see your strength, but because it reflects a mind that has already conquered itself. Non-attachment to outcomes. Voiceover Epictetus taught, some things are up to us, and some are not. Attraction is never fully in your control. You can influence it, but not force it. A Stoic man understands this truth deeply. He knows that if a woman desires him, that's fine. If she doesn't, that's fine too, because his peace doesn't depend on it. This emotional detachment is not coldness, it's clarity. And ironically, when you stop needing her to like you, your energy becomes calm and authentic. And that authenticity creates attraction. Practical application. Next time you talk to someone you're attracted to, remind yourself, I am not here to win approval. I am here to be present. When you focus on being your true self rather than seeking validation, your presence feels powerful and grounded. In a world obsessed with winning, recognition, and instant success, this Stoic truth feels counterintuitive. We are trained from childhood to measure our worth by achievements, grades, wealth, status, or approval. But the Stoics saw things differently. They believed that true freedom begins when you stop letting outcomes control your emotions. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present." The Stoics taught that the only thing we truly control is our own mind, our choices, judgments, and actions. Everything else, including how others respond, how events unfold, or whether life rewards us, it lies beyond our control. This realization is not about passivity or indifference. It's about mastery, the ability to act with full effort but without desperation. The Stoic understanding of control. Epictetus, one of the most profound Stoic teachers, began his Enchiridion with this timeless statement: some things are in our control, and others are not. This is the foundation of Stoic discipline. You can control your intentions, actions, and effort, but not the results those actions produce. Most people reverse this. They obsess over the result, trying to manipulate every variable of life. They worry, stress, and cling to outcomes that are not within their control. The Stoic path is different. It says, do your duty well, and release the rest. This mindset is the secret to inner peace. When you focus on what you can truly command, your attitude, discipline, and decisions, you free yourself from the anxiety of uncertainty. Practical application. At the start of your day, list 2 columns on paper. Column A, things I can control. Column B, things I can't control. You'll notice how small column A is, but that's where your strength lies. Your peace depends on staying in column A too. The weight of expectation. Expectations are emotional traps. We build stories in our minds about how things should go, how our efforts must be rewarded, how people should behave, how life ought to unfold. When reality doesn't meet those expectations, we suffer. Seneca warned about this in Letters from a Stoic. He suffers more than necessary. Who suffers before it is necessary? Much of our pain doesn't come from events themselves, but from our expectations of those events. When we learn to approach life with effort but not expectation, peace begins to grow within us. Non-attachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care deeply, but you're not enslaved by the outcome. Practical application. Before starting any major goal, say to yourself, I will give my best, but I am not entitled to a particular result. This mental preparation protects you from disappointment and keeps your energy focused on the process, not the reward. The philosophy of amor fati. The Stoic concept of amor fati, meaning love of fate, is a natural extension of non-attachment. It means embracing whatever happens as necessary and even beneficial for your growth. Marcus Aurelius put it beautifully. A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it. When you practice amor fati, you stop labeling events as good or bad. You begin to see life as a flowing current that you can learn from, rather than something to control. The mindset shifts from resistance to acceptance. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, teach me. This attitude turns every outcome, or even the unfavorable ones, into a lesson that strengthens your character. Practical application. When something goes wrong, pause and remind yourself, This event is part of my path. It's not against me, it's for me. Over time, this habit transforms frustration into resilience and fear into calm acceptance. Freedom from external validation. Of the most liberating effects of non-attachment is freedom from external validation. We often seek to be liked, praised, or approved of, believing that others' opinions determine our value. But Stoicism teaches that your worth is self-contained, rooted in your virtue, not in public applause. Epictetus wrote, "If you wish to be good, first believe that you are bad." He meant that the path to goodness begins within, through introspection and self-correction, not through applause or comparison. When you detach from needing recognition, your actions become pure. You do the right thing because it's right, not because it will earn approval. That's where dignity is born. Practical application. Ask yourself before any decision, am I doing this because it's right or because I want to be seen doing it? This question builds moral independence, a key Stoic strength. The modern struggle. Attachment to results in today's world. Attachment is amplified. We chase metrics, followers, income, attention, and feel incomplete when the numbers don't match our desires. But this cycle of attachment is endless. Every outcome creates new cravings, new comparisons, new dissatisfaction. Stoicism offers an antidote. Focus on process, not product. You can't control how fast success comes, but you can control how consistently you show up. As the Stoic Musonius Rufus taught, virtue and effort are always within your power. External success is not. Practical application. Adopt what modern psychology calls a process-oriented mindset. Ask yourself, what is one thing I can control and improve today? By directing energy toward your discipline, not the outcome, you remove emotional turbulence from your goals. Serenity and uncertainty. Life will always remain uncertain. Plans will change. People will surprise you. Circumstances will shift without warning. A person attached to outcomes feels shaken by every turn, but a Stoic, grounded in non-attachment, remains calm, not because life is easy, but because his peace is self-generated. Seneca captured this serenity when he said, "The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately." Non-attachment doesn't mean apathy. It means confidence in the face of uncertainty, knowing that no matter what happens, you will adapt. Practical application. When you catch yourself worrying about the future, repeat, "I can handle whatever comes." This simple mantra reinforces Stoic resilience and reminds you that peace is a choice, not a circumstance. Go and living with purpose, acting without fear. When you let go of attachment, your actions become purer and bolder. You're no longer held back by fear of failure or rejection. You take risks with integrity because you understand that effort is your duty, not outcome. That's what makes Stoicism a practical philosophy of courage. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." When you act with clear purpose, free from the need for a guaranteed result, you become unstoppable, calm, focused, and internally fulfilled. Practical application. Before any challenge, tell yourself, "I will give my full effort." The outcome will take care of itself. This removes hesitation, builds discipline, and invites inner strength. Conclusion. Peace beyond success or failure. Non-attachment to outcomes is not an escape from life. It is full participation without dependence. It means doing your best in every action, but understanding that the result doesn't define you. Your peace, your worth, your stability, all of it exists independently of what happens next. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "Be like the rock against which the waves break, unmoved and strong, while the raging sea falls still around it." That is the image of non-attachment. Strength in stillness, freedom in effort, peace in uncertainty. When you live this way, no victory can inflate you and no failure can destroy you. You remain centered, calm, disciplined, and truly free. The power of silent confidence. Voiceover. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free." Freedom from anxiety, from over-explaining, from needing to prove yourself. That's what real confidence looks like. Women often pick up attraction cues not from what you say, but from what you don't say. Your body language, the calm eye contact, relaxed posture, steady breathing communicates volumes. A stoic man doesn't rush to fill silence. He lets his presence do the talking, because silence is where confidence breathes. Practical application. Practice sitting in silence with people. Don't rush to speak. Hold calm eye contact. This trains your nervous system to be comfortable in stillness, a subtle signal of power and confidence. Mastery over desire. Voiceover. The Stoics never rejected desire. They learned to rule it. Seneca said, "He is most powerful who has himself in his own power." In relationships, uncontrolled desire leads to chasing, overthinking, and emotional chaos. But when you can desire without attachment, you project calm strength. She notices this. When a man doesn't rush, doesn't chase, doesn't lose composure, his restraint becomes mysterious, and mystery sparks attraction. Practical application. Don't chase attention, earn respect. Redirect your energy toward your purpose, your goals, your discipline. Because a man who is focused on growth is infinitely more attractive than one who's desperate for approval. Living with purpose and direction. Voiceover. Marcus Aurelius began each day asking himself, "What is my purpose today? What virtue will I practice?" A man with purpose radiates direction. He moves with intention. He's not waiting for someone to validate him. He validates himself through action. Women subconsciously sense this. Purpose is masculine energy in motion. It says, "I have a mission," and that energy is irresistible. Practical application. Write down your top 3 priorities every morning. Align your actions with your purpose, not your impulses. When your life has structure and meaning, attraction naturally follows. Equanimity under pressure. Voiceover. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When life tests you, when you're rejected, ignored, or challenged, your composure reveals your true character. A stoic man doesn't crumble under pressure. He remains grounded, even when emotions run high. Women feel safe and intrigued around men who stay calm in chaos. That steadiness signals reliability, something deeply attractive at a biological and psychological level. Practical application. When facing emotional tension, remind yourself, this moment cannot shake me unless I allow it. Observe your emotions like clouds, temporary, passing. The more calm you remain, the more magnetic you become. Care self-respect and boundaries. Voiceover. Seneca wrote, "Associate with those who make you better." A Stoic understands that respect begins with self-respect. If you allow disrespect, you teach others how to treat you. Women are instinctively drawn to men with boundaries. Not because boundaries are controlling, but because they communicate self-worth. When you calmly say no, when you walk away from games or manipulation, that strength speaks louder than words. Practical application. Set standards for how you want to be treated, and enforce them quietly. You don't need to argue. You simply act with dignity. That quiet self-respect creates deep attraction and admiration, gratitude and inner peace. Voiceover. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself. A man who lives in gratitude radiates peace. He doesn't complain. He doesn't compare himself to others. He finds joy in simplicity, in a morning walk, a good meal, a quiet night. And that serenity is rare. In a world obsessed with chasing, a calm, grateful man stands out effortlessly. Practical application. Each night, write down 3 things you're grateful for. This simple Stoic practice rewires your mind for peace and confidence. Emotional detachment from rejection. Voiceover. Rejection doesn't define you. Your reaction to it does. Epictetus said, "When something happens, the only thing in your power is your attitude toward it. If she's not interested, that's not a loss, but it's redirection." A Stoic man never begs for what isn't his. He simply thanks fate, amor fati, and moves forward. Practical application. Next time something doesn't go your way, say quietly, "This too is for my growth." Detach, learn, grow. That mindset keeps your spirit unbreakable. And ironically, it's the one most likely to draw others back to you later. Closing reflection. Voiceover. Attraction isn't a game, it's energy. And the most powerful energy is stillness. The kind of calm confidence that Stoicism teaches. When a woman senses that you are at peace with yourself, when she feels that your world doesn't revolve around her approval, that's when she's drawn to you intensely, because you're not trying to control her. You've mastered yourself. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. So be the calm man, be the grounded man, be the stoic man, not for her, but for your own peace. And when you do, she'll notice, she'll feel it, and she'll desire the quiet strength you carry within you." End screen, outro. If you found value in this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, true strength begins with inner peace. Until next time, stay calm, stay focused, and stay stoic.